Hi guys, I figured I'd give you a little video update on Cappy, let you know how his progress is coming. Um, he um, he does have a little bit of a squirrely streak to him, but he can also be a little bit willful. So trying to address those two things um, a little bit separately, which is hard because those are kind of conflicting things to address. Like the being squirrely, you want to give them confidence, but the not being very compliant or being a little bit willful requires a little bit of pressure. So, just trying to find the balance between those two things. Um, so for a couple of days, I think Caitlin and I had to work on being pretty decisive with what we did with him. So if he gave any pushback, we had to make sure that that he didn't feel like threatening us was going to buy him anything. um, and I think we got that point across. So then moving forward, the goal is now he's on the same page with us, as well as somebody that's been under saddle a couple of weeks would be. So now just trying to not ride him with a grudge, not ride him with a chip on our shoulder. Give him every opportunity every day to to be a good boy. So that's what we're going for. I do a lot of the polls. Just I think that kind of distracts him a little bit. It makes him think a little bit, rather than thinking of whether or not he wants to comply and be ridden, he has to think, oh, well, I got to be careful about my feet. I need to, every footfall is not a given. I might be going over a cavaletti. I might be going over a pole. I might be going in and out of the arena, just not trying to teach him to jump. I'm just trying to keep him thinking positive, that he has to look after himself, which is a big part of eventing training in general, is we have to teach them to look after himself. So that's a little bit what I'm doing. And then I think you've seen I've done a few transitions, rather than him giving himself about 70% rather than trying to grind away to get the other 30%. Just kind of switching up the conversation. So if he goes forward enough, I'll sometimes remove the driving aid, take his mouth, and do a downward transition, just so he feels like he's taking me somewhere rather than me always pushing him somewhere. And then so I did a lot of trotting. Now, the cantering is good for him. Like sometimes if I'm trying to get him to go forward into trot, he actually will break the canter. He's got a really, really very well balanced canter, and he doesn't fall into like some horses, they when they're getting broken, they'll be happy in trot and they might buck in the canter. I think he's more likely to buck if he feels like he's stifled into the trot. So always kind of giving him a place to go forward is helpful to him. I think he's actually been less threatening in the canter than he has been in the trot, which is good, I think. Yeah, so going forward, I think my goal every day that I ride him is to not think of him as being a tricky horse, or think of him as being, not the easiest horse to break. He is being sat on. He is responding to the eights now. So every day that I ride him, my goal is just to ride him like a normal horse, or as normal horse as I can, and not be defensive about anything. As long as he's giving me good responses, then just treat him like he's a good boy and not treat him like he's a bad boy. So that's my goal. And if he is bad, I deal with that. But I again, trying not to hold a grudge or be defensive. I think the only way to move forward is to put bad behavior behind you and just focus on good behavior.